Magandang araw sa inyong lahat. This is Therese Zapanta Versosa of Batch 1989. It is my honor that I am sharing with you my personal stories. I have been a Kolasa, by the way, since kindergarten to high school, and so I'm very proud to be united with you, even at least through this video, with my fellow Kolasas. I will leave Mrs. Chavez to give the introductions about myself so that we don't waste time. I would like to immediately start right away. Our 4 key topics would be: how do you know your vocation and how do you know if it is aligned with God's will? Second, what is the meaning of true success versus false success? 3, how is your preparation for your own battlefield in life? How do you prepare for your own war? 4th, what is you and your relationship with the society, you and social media, you and the truth? And finally, I would like to share some more personal story about myself that led me to serving the poor. Let's begin. As you transition to college, you must be scared and at the same time excited. Well, you should be excited, and you should also be kind of not knowing what to do next. And that's pretty normal. That's normal because you are just developing. Your brain, your maturity is still constantly developing, so that your wisdom as you grow older is also developing. You are not expected to know what you're going to be in the next 4 years. Any person who dictates you that you need to be who you are now, yet you need to know what you're going to be in the next 4 years, don't listen to them. You are still growing and you are developing like a flower, and you are still being nurtured by your environment, and just listen to what people have to say. But at the same time, you would like to ask, this is number 1, ask the Lord, come in my life. Come into my life right now as I transition from high school to college. It can be intimidating, it can be daunting, it can be overwhelming, and I don't even know if this is the right course for me. They tell me many other things, and I don't know if what I am doing is the right thing. Well, if you are in that kind of a question mind frame, congratulations, because that's just normal. I don't think when I was in high school transitioning to college that I was really sure of what I'm going to be like and what I'm going to be. I finished nursing in AUF at Anglos University Foundation, and I became a registered nurse. But after that, I ended up being a flight attendant for 11 years, flying internationally. So you're not really sure what your fate will lead you, but what you can do is prepare. What you can do is work hard on what you have been given and presented with. So again, as you transition, you're not sure, you are scared, you are intimidated, that's all normal. But what you can control of is how you prepare. It's like being in a restaurant presented with a buffet of food, and you have to choose one particular dish. Maybe in the past you have had an experience of it, maybe you have not, but you need to try one dish. Remember, you cannot know how it will feel like if you haven't tried. So you will try it, and then you will ask again the Lord, come to me and come into my heart. I want you to be here with me. Hindi ko po alam kung tama po itong aking desisyon, but for as long as I am anchored with you, I know that I am in the right path. I know that even if I make mistakes, that you are there for me. That's number 1. Remember, you are still developing. You are still transitioning to young adulthood. And so this is what I would like for you to visualize. You have an empty backpack as you move along the highway of life. You are excited. You are going to be in an adventure. I want you to be excited about this. And the fact that you don't know should excite you. Sometimes you just have to let it be. Again, if you are anchored with God, it's like when someone is taking you on a roller coaster and you're so scared, but you know that your father or your mother or your best friend is there. You feel that you are secure. That's how it's going to be like. Or like a toddler who doesn't know where she's going, but as long as she's holding the hand of her dad, she feels good and she feels secure. Kind of like that. So be on your adventure of your life, anchored with God, and it will be okay, even if you make mistakes. Remember, you have to honor mistakes, because mistakes will always be part of your life. One who makes mistakes and corrects herself after that mistake gains wisdom. So when you are wearing your backpack on the pathway of life, gain that nugget of wisdom and put in your backpack. That's how you gain wisdom. And that's why I mentioned to you, wisdom goes with you along the way. You develop it along the way. There's difference between knowledge and wisdom. You can know all the academic quizzes, you can pass them all, but you are not necessarily wise. Wisdom grows even deeper. You can be the valedictorian, but you don't have to be, you're not necessarily wise in that aspect of wisdom. That's why wisdom is so important to watch out for, because one day, you will be facing obstacles. One day, you will be facing pain and trials. Because you're not always going to be 15 or 16 or 17. One day you will be 25. One day you will be 30 years old. And you will be faced with the reality that is beyond your comprehension right now. Embrace mistakes because they better you as a person. Now, as you walk into that highway of life with your backpack, after you have asked the Lord to come into your heart and allow Him to be with you, make sure that you watch out for warning signs, like the traffic lights that we see on the road. These traffic lights allow us to stop, to look, and to listen. A wise traveler will always heed to those warning signs. We are not perfect. Remember that. No one is expecting you to be perfect. Any other person who tells you that you need to be perfect, that they will not love you unless you are that, based on their standard, is not a good friend. We are not expected to be perfect in the perfect sense of the world, because you know what, no matter what you do in reality, outside of high school, outside of college, one day when you're hired and you have a job and you make mistakes, the world will say that's it, because that next person out there waiting in line wants your job. And that is why we need to teach you how to make sense of wisdom, how to make sense of suffering, because it is in suffering, it is in pain, it is in mistakes that you are forged in fire. You live by the Benedictine motto, ora et labora, pray and work. Saint Benedict did not teach you the reverse. He did not say labora et ora. He said pray and work. Pray and then you eat. Pray and then you study. Pray and then you work. That is why for anything that you're going to do, you will have to ask the Lord, come to me, come to my aid, so that I know that you are with me. And then I can decide. And then I can choose my job. And then I can choose my course. Again, at this age in your high school life, you're really not sure what you are going to be like after 4 years. I am a registered nurse by profession, but I ended up working as a flight attendant for 11 years and then went back to my nursing life. So right now, this recording is being shot in my office in Washington State. And that is where I live. That is where my family lives. But the point there being is that when I was at your age, I did not know that I'll be in this office. I did not know that I'll be in this place. Only God knows. That is why it's important to anchor ourselves with God, so that wherever we are taken, whatever is going to happen, we know that if we have God, that it will be okay. Now, let me talk to you about false success versus true success. What is false success? It's simple. It is what we think of as successful nowadays. The world will teach you if you are popular, if you have received good grades, if you have received the best academic achievements, if you have this academic distinctions, if you are rich, if you have the latest gadget, if you're beautiful, if people know you. That is popularity. That is success in terms of the world. But that is not true success. True success is where you are able to get yourself better after pain, when you're able to save yourself after obstacles, when you are able to come out of your own misery. That is the true meaning of success. Someone with a sense of sacrifice, someone with a sense of, you know what, it's hard, but I'm going to do this. That person has grit. And when you have grit, dear ladies, you are a successful person in the eyes of God and in the eyes of the wise men. Someone who is beautiful, someone who has won academic awards. Don't get me wrong, academic awards are important. They are the bonus, they are the rubrics, they are the metrics upon which teachers would know if the student really understood the lessons or not. Those are bonus, and we need recognition. I want recognition. I loved awards. Who doesn't like to be awarded, right? That's human experience. That's human nature. We love to be recognized. But what am I talking about? My point there is that if we're only enclosed and encapsulated in just those achievements, then we got it wrong. Because the meaning of life is when you are also successful because you have made others successful. That is the true meaning of life. When whatever course you're going to be having one day, whatever profession you'll be able to hold one day, when you lift people up while you are successful yourself, that's the true meaning of success. That's what will make your teachers at Saints go. That's what you will make me happy, and your parents and God. When you are a lifter instead of someone who puts people down. You know what, nowadays, which leads me to your role in society, this little thing here is a cell phone, but it can kill people, literally and figuratively. Nowadays, this teaches young kids to kill themselves. Nowadays, the social media teaches teenagers to bully people. Nowadays, these programs, the social media teaches us to be envious because she is more beautiful than us, or this teaches us to be jealous because they have more friends than we do, or that they went to a nice place and we could not afford it, that they always look happier and we are not. Ladies, that is not what God is wanting you to be thinking of. If it is not for God, it is what? If simple, if it is not coming from God, where is that coming from? I wouldn't be scared. It's coming from the devil. God never wanted you to be envious. God never wanted you to be thinking bad about others, so much so that you feel so depressed. That is not coming from God. And again, always ask, if this is not coming from God, where is it coming from? It's coming from the devil. Remember when the serpent lured Eve the first time, which began the fall of man? We're doing it again. We're being lured again. We're being tempted again by this one small gadget. When in fact, it can be a tool for goodness. Don't get me wrong. This can be a tool for goodness. But what is happening is that it becomes a tool for evil. It's evil. Is it not evil when you feel that you are intimidated by someone just because she looks pretty and that you don't know how to please others? Don't you feel intimidated? Don't you feel scared when you feel like, how come they always look happy and my parents are not always happy? Because in reality, who really, give me a person who's going to actually identify her family's problems on social media? No one. No one in their right mind would show their family's problems on social media. Have you? seen a friend who is so proud of her family's problems? Maybe she will share it with you face to face or when they're chatting with you, but seriously, no one would dare share that her father was out of a job, or that her father and her mother are divorcing, or that she cannot go to the party because she has no money. No one does that. That is what is scary about social media. We only share the good things. We don't share what's really happening. What is the reality? The reality is life is not always good. Life is not always easy. But what is the world teaching us? That, you know what? The world is going to say, well, you know, you are nobody because that friend of yours is popular. What makes you now is that you're nobody. That is the world. That's what the world's teaching you. When you look at social media, make sure that as you venture into young adulthood, that you don't get controlled by social media. Social media is here to stay. It's going to get even more sophisticated. But if you don't know how to control, then it will control your life. So much so that even people, they kill themselves because of it. Even people who are just ordinary people, they hurt themselves. They fall into depression. They kill themselves and they want to hurt themselves. What happened? What happened to Ora et Labora? What happened to glorifying God in all things? What happened to us? This is not what God intended it to be. We are not, let's not be Eve, that we are tempted by the serpent with this one. If you think at one point it's controlling you, turn it off. If you need to study, study without the phone. And make sure, please make sure that when you build relationships, make sure this phone is out of your reach. Put it in your purse, put it in your bag. When you talk to friends, when you talk to someone, make them feel so important that you are not with the phone. Have you felt so good when someone's talking to you and she is just listening to you one-on-one, just like you are the most important person in that room? Be that. Be that. Do not let this ruin relationships, because real relationships are made in between when it's face-to-face encounter. Be that kind of Kulasa that Saint Go, if she were alive, would be proud of you. Now, your role in the truth. Nowadays, the world will teach you whatever is convenient for you, whatever is good for you, follow it, even when it is against your faith. Right now, the world is teaching us that there is no God except you, except yourself. Nowadays, they say if you don't like that thing inside your womb, you can kill it, and that it is considered legal and you will not be imprisoned. The last time I checked, my husband is a human being and I am a human being, and if I am pregnant right now, that makes that thing inside my womb a human being as well, right? I mean, my husband is a human being, I'm a human being. I cannot, for whatever, cannot have a cat inside my womb. It's not a cat, it's not a dog, it's not a pig, it's a human being. But what is the world teaching us? That according to the law, you can kill it if you don't like it. Ladies, that's what is the world's view right now. And unfortunately, it's going to get worse. So we are teaching you now to hold steadfast and hold your values constant in your life. Because if you are going to be wishy-washy, you're going to be lame as far as your morals are concerned. You're easily pushed, you're easily swayed away. I guarantee you, you will lose yourself. You will lose your path to that highway of life. When you walk in that highway of life with your backpack, with your nuggets of wisdom that you learn from pain, from experiences, from your errors. Make sure that you are also a lifter, that you succeed, you are successful when you feel that you are also making others feel successful. Be a lifter, be an empowerer, not quashing someone's hopes. Be that person where they will remember, oh, I remember her. She lifted me up. She is an empowerer. I remember her. She empowered me and encouraged me that I can do it. Because I can guarantee you one day, because we're all human beings, we are mortals, we are finite, you will also fail one time. You will fall. You will make mistakes. But at that point, the people that you once helped, they will be the ones to help you. That's just the fact of life. It's a cycle. One day you are up there, the next time, before you know it, you are at the bottom, and then back again. It's a cycle. That is how a kulasa is forged in fire. That is how a kulasa prepares for life. One day you will have a job interview. They will not ask you what was your academic achievement, what grades did you get in your religion, or what is your high score in math, what kind of academic distinctions you received. They don't care about that, because everybody else wants to be academically inclined. What they will ask you is this: what is your best, what is your worst frustration in life? What is your biggest disappointment in life, and what did you do about it? What is your weakness in life, and what did you do to make yourself stronger? What is your worst mistake, and what did you do to become a better person? Those are the kinds of things they will ask you, because I can tell you, if I'm going to hire you, I'm going to ask you that. I'm not going to ask you, what was your grade in English, when you were in your senior year, or what did you learn in biochemistry? No, I don't care about it. They will ask you, how do you describe yourself when it comes to accepting frustrations, accepting challenges? What kind of a person are you? How do you tolerate people who are different from you? How do you tolerate people who put you down? Those are the types of questions that I want you to ponder. Those are the types of questions I want you to be ready. And how do you become ready? Every day, every day, you will ask yourself, you will ask the Lord, Lord, come into my life. I am ready for my life. I am not sure, though, where it will lead me, but I know that you are going to guide me. I have a backpack. It's empty. It's full. It's going to be full of wisdom, knowing that true success is being successful, but at the same time, helping others also succeed. That I will be an empowerer. I will be a lifter. I will not be the one to crush people's dreams. I will be that person where they will say, that is a woman of wisdom. That is a woman of God. That is a kulasa. Make sense? Mrs. Chavez had asked me to share about my story. Zach was diagnosed, he's my younger son. I have two boys. He was diagnosed with autism at the age of 3. He's now 15. He's recovering and he's healing, and he's now also giving talks like the way I do. So much so that everybody is inspired by his achievements, by his role in people's lives. He is an encourager. Ever since I opened my door, I opened my life so that God can come in and help me, help Zach. My husband and I felt that it is wise enough to help others as well. So we began Empower Philippines, which is what Jude and I, my husband, founded. And ever since, we have been helping the poor in the Philippines. I hold 2 passports. I'm an American citizen and I'm also a Filipino citizen. I don't need to come back to the Philippines. Practically speaking, hindi sa pagmamayabang, I don't need to. I have my house here. I am comfortable here, thank God. And I don't need to, if you look at it. But I want to. My husband and I, my family, we want to go back because that is where we see the face of God. That is where we pay forward. That is where we pay back God, even when God doesn't need our paying back. It is just a form of us serving the Lord because God has always been with us constantly. And that is my story. Autism or disability or anything that is a disappointment in your life, anything that was a frustration in your life, consider that as your learning tool that propels you to be the best person that you are. If a mistake or an experience that is painful did not teach you, then you have to ask yourself why. Remember, we have to stop, we have to look, we have to listen. Always, always, a person who stops, a person who looks, a person who listens is a person who examines her conscience every day. And that person is going to be a woman of wisdom all throughout her years. Finally, take a look at these medals. These 2 medals are the only medals I have received in my entire Kolasa term since kindergarten until high school. I have never received any academic awards. What is my point? Academic awards are important. They make your resume and your curriculum vitae look good. But in the eyes of God, they are not enough. In the eyes of God, when you help those who have less, when you help people succeed, God is smiling. You make God smile. When you help people who cannot pay you back, God will give you a heavenly diploma so that one day when you knock at heaven's door and you say, Lord, can you let me in? And then he opens the key, he opens the door, and he says, I recognize you. You have helped the poor. I have recognized you. I recognize you. Come, welcome to my kingdom, my child. I hope that this recording will teach you how to prepare yourself for life. I am not here to scare you. I am here to actually excite you because life is full of possibilities. Life is full of potentials, but it is how you open yourself to it, knowing that you are not going to be just focused on the superficial success, but into that sense of deeper success. Knowing also that mistakes are going to be part of life. I don't know if I've mentioned this to you, but please do not be that woman after 10 years when you have made mistakes so severe that you say, God doesn't love me. Because if God loves me, He's not going to allow this to happen. God has abandoned me. I will tell you this. Please don't say that. Because in reality, God has always been there. God never left. Remember the scriptures, in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was God. God has always been there since the beginning of time. He loved us so much He created Adam and Eve, and only for the serpent to lure Eve, which was the fall of man. God never left. It was us who left. And what do? We turn around 180 degrees, open our door, ask the Lord to come in our hearts and walk again in that path of life, remembering that wisdom, more than anything else, is how we come to know the Lord. And how is that? When we help others who have less, so that when one day we will pass this earth, we will knock at heaven's door, God will recognize us, because in all things we have glorified God. Thank you. I will see you in 2 weeks.